people trickle in, there's some seats in the back, and we always have more if anyone needs. So thank you all for joining us today. I am Jess Kirkman, Senior Director of Brand Creative at Mattel and Mattel Creations. And I am here with one of my partners, Ethan Wood, Senior Director of Product Design at Mattel. He creates all the awesome toys and collectibles, especially the ones you can see in this back room of the Mattel Creations room. And we are hosting this panel on behalf of Mattel Creations today at the Toys is Art, Art Inspired by Toys exhibition here at the Corey Helford Gallery. So give it up, give it up. We are so thrilled to have you here. We are going to explore the intersection of toys, art, and nostalgia, and the incredible ways that all of our toys inspire artists across generations. Today, we are joined by 7 phenomenal artists, each of whom has reimagined icons of play in their own unique way for this exhibition. Through their work, they've transformed beloved toys into powerful artistic statements, celebrating not just the joy of childhood, but the influence these creations have had on design, culture, and storytelling. During this panel, we will dive into their creative process, their inspirations, and of course, the pieces they've brought to life for this show. And since we are Mattel, you can expect a few wild cards, questions along the way, little pop quiz questions. And after our panel discussion, we'll open the floor up for Q&A. So please get some of those burning questions ready in your mind. We would love some audience participation. Anything goes here. We are live streaming, so keep it family friendly is what I'll say. And so without further ado, I'm gonna have Ethan welcome our incredible panel of artists. So let's give it up when they come out.
Awesome. So before I introduce any of the artists, I just wanted to say none of this would have been possible without the participation of all of the amazing artists, and a big thanks for Sherry for curating this entire show.
Woo!
Right?
Woo!
All of this is beautiful artwork as a result of all of those artists' work and their unique take on all of our Mattel brands. So the first artist I'd like to introduce is Brandi Milne. Brandi, using elements of bright pop culture and candy-colored hues, Brandi created a surrealist style uniquely her own. A local SoCal artist born in Anaheim, near Disneyland, Brandi's practice taps into her inner child's imagination, exploring themes like loss, pain, heartbreak that are beyond the glossy facade. Brandi, will you come out? Wherever you want to say. All right. Hello. Next, I would like to introduce Gary Baseman. Born in Los Angeles to immigrants from Eastern Europe, Gary Baseman's work is influenced by a variety of lived experiences. City life of Los Angeles, his family's story, and the power of cartoons, television, and pop culture. He has created a cast of characters in the style of classic cartoons of the mid-20th century, which he uses to express contemporary experiences in whimsical, impactful works. Can you all welcome Gary Baseman, please?
Wherever I think right with your painting, Gary. It makes the most sense there. Thank you.
All right, next I would like to introduce Onch. Based in Los Angeles, Onch creates wearable art that blurs the line between fashion, commerce, and artistic practice. His pieces have been featured in fashion magazines, worn by celebrities, and been highlighted through unique brand partnerships like Sanrio, Pokemon museums, and like the Academy Museum. Onch's imaginative approach aims to bridge the gap between art and fashion, creating wearables that spark the nature of pop culture and representation through what might be called kitsch art. Could everyone please welcome Onch?
Anywhere you'd like. Okay.
All right, up next is Luke. Based in Los Angeles, Luke Chueh's artistic practice showcases an interplay between the cute and the dark, the depressed and whimsical. His work highlights themes of addiction, sadness, and contemporary melancholy. Chueh describes himself as a micro-nihilist and a micro-optimist, macro-nihilist and micro-optimist, which is observed through the use of highly graphic and cartoon approaches to bears and other traditionally cuddly animal characters with unsettling but light perspective. Everyone, please welcome Luke. All right, up next is Jasmine Becket-Griffith. Using traditional acrylic painting techniques, Jasmine Becket-Griffith conjures a magical world of fairy tales and mystery. Referencing historical, natural, and fantasy worlds, she has crafted her liquid eye maidens to explore emotional depths within the magical realism displayed in her paintings. Becket-Griffith's work has appeared in numerous books and magazines, and she's worked with the Walt Disney Company, Lucasfilm, and Hamilton Collection, amongst others. Please welcome Jasmine. All right, up next is Jim Mckenzie, an artist and commercial art director based in Burbank. Jim Mckenzie's work often features a surreal, highly saturated wonderland. Using a variety of mediums and disciplines, from illustration to sculpture to stop motion, Mckenzie's work showcases pop culture, horror, and mythology through a viewfinder of cinema and satire. He has also balanced his practice with commercial direction for such brands as Prada, Capital One, and created a mascot for Zyafran, Gut Guy, seen in Super Bowl 50. Please come on out, Jim. All right, and finally, I'd like to introduce Korin. Originally from Colorado, Korin Faught's work is reminiscent of the Dutch masters and mid-20th century design paired with a unique contemporary and feminine lens. Her work has been exhibited in major cities around the U.S. and has been featured in Art News, Style.com, and American Art Collector magazine, amongst others. Faught's oil paintings have a sense of movement with a perspective that is both sharp and soft in an otherworldly quality, a mediation on what it means to be a woman in America today. Please welcome Korin.
All right, we've got our panel here of amazing artists. We're so honored to have you guys. This is really incredible for us at Mattel and just as artists ourselves. So let's get this party started. Let's start with the first question. And this is for everyone, and so we just kind of want to keep it going. We'll keep the dialogue going today. So looking around the space, surrounded by these incredible pieces of art, it's clear that every piece tells a story. Let's set the stage by starting at the beginning. We'd love to hear from each of you and tell everyone which toy you chose as your subject matter and for your piece here today, and maybe explain a little bit about it for those that haven't gotten a look around the gallery quite yet. And then I'm also curious if any of you had the actual toy with you while you were painting or creating or sculpting or all of that. So let's start over here. Oh, and we have a mic going. We have 2 mics going around. There we go.
All right, well, I am Jasmine Becket-Griffith. My painting is right behind me, featuring the girls from Monster High, which is a wonderful Mattel franchise that has been a big part of my family. Most specifically, everybody in my family's been into horror and scary things, but when we had little girls in our family who were getting to be about 12, 13, they sort of like scary stuff, but they sort of like cute things, and they could make outfits and dolls and tell their own stories, and Monster High was a big part of that. It was also a sort of thing where I got to hang out with my nieces and actually make outfits. It inspired them to make little houses. One of my nieces had over 200 Monster High dolls at one point, and it took over 2 bedrooms and part of the living room. She had built this whole environment, made up her own names for them, but I liked the idea that creativity that inspired in her and in the rest of my family, that it wasn't just the stories that Mattel had, but it encouraged us to make our own.
And did you have some monster? It sounds like you had plenty of monster.
I had
dolls
a lot of reference for
Awesome.
that, and it was hard to narrow it down to what characters. But I thought about the ones that I actually liked when I saw the costumes and the storylines that went with them.
Your piece is beautiful. Thank
Thank you.
All right, let's pass it along to Jim.
Hey.
Woohoo!
Thanks. Hey, my name's Jim. I made there's a little telephone over there, and I just smashed a bunch of stuff and kind of glued it together a little last minute. But I had this idea to make this character 3 years ago. I was doing a whole film about a toy maker and his crazy ideas of making these toys that really were not that great. And it was called Potato Face, and that was one of the pieces that was going to be in the film, and it wound up I just didn't have enough time. It was like a side project that it took 3 years to film. It was all on me. I had to animate and make all the props and make like a fake factory pretty much. And yeah, I just always loved the idea of like creating toys, and also the idea of creating toys that kind of suck. And that was, one of them. Not suck in like a bad way, just like something that you wouldn't probably buy. So I came up with this idea of like the worst toy ever. It was a carrot foot, and like this guy, my character in the film, can only make carrot feet toys, and it was just supposed to be like a really bad toy. So anyway, I didn't get a chance to make that. And then finally, I had some time in October, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna squeeze this in. And I started planning it out, and I actually started it. And then that week, I got a call from Korin Faught and Mattel saying, like, would you want to be in this show? And my first thought was, I can't do that because I have to really I've already started this. And then I was like, wait, the thing is Mattel, so this is just perfect. So I wound up, having a home for it, and here it is. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Luke Chueh, and the piece I created was that painting, Outlook Not So Good. It's the Magic 8 Ball, and I chose the Magic 8 Ball because I felt like it contained both the cynicism and the potential optimism that I like to incorporate in my narratives. For my painting, I chose obviously what I would consider the worst outcome, and I did have Magic 8 Ball on me when I painted the painting. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Gary Baseman, and the painting I did is right behind me. And it's the painting is titled Swell, which was based on this. I was very fortunate to create the toy figure to represent Mattel's 80th anniversary, which was Toby as Swell as Maddie Mattel. And so in the painting, you could see there's Toby is Swell in the center, and the explosion of inspiration that is all around him. Over here next to Onch, flying into Onch's lap, is Maddie Mattel, which was this, whoop, here goes everything, that's okay. We'll pick it up eventually. Which was a toy that Mattel produced back in the 60s, which was a talking doll, which I didn't necessarily have, but what I did have was a mess here down here, was the Casper doll that's floating above Toby as Swell, which was made by the same exact form as the Maddie Mattel doll. And you could see them over here in my installation when you first enter the exhibition. So I was in love with Casper as a little kid, as a toy. Again, he was a talking doll, and if you know the property of Casper, he was a ghost who would just frighten everybody because he wanted to play with them. And if you really think about it, he's a dead kid who doesn't know he's dead, and he's frightening everybody because he's hanging out wanting to play with them. But I fell in love with him. So, and I did have the references when I did the painting, and I guess that's it for now. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
We love you, Gary. Hi, my name is Onch. I was inspired by Polly Pocket, and she was my star for this piece. It is the wearable art necklace. It is all the way at the back. Growing up, I was bullied, and just being authentically myself, I didn't have a lot of friends, and Polly Pocket was my friend. So when it came down to creating a piece to celebrate Mattel, I chose Polly because she is somebody that is so close and dear to my heart, and we went on so many adventures together in her little tiny compact world. And we also featured Barbie in this piece because, as we know, Barbie is Mattel's queen. We have to celebrate the queen. So I did have this piece when I was creating this necklace, and getting to really dive into it and opening the compact again and seeing all these little elements was so special and so nostalgic. So this was a project that was not just my dream, but it was also very healing for me. You have one.
Hello, that one works. Hi, I'm Brandi. My piece is on the other side of this wall. It's called Thrill of It All. I have Barbie front and center, as she is the queen. And I also pulled in some elements that were my favorite growing up. Fisher-Price stuff from the early 70s and 80s. You know, growing up, I had a whole bunch of siblings ahead of me. I was the youngest, and I had a lot of hand-me-downs. And so I feel like I got a lot of the 60s even toys, 60s, 70s, and 80s to play with, and they were my world. And even as an artist today, as an adult, I really do go back to that like early influence to speak my language in visual, visual language. And I'm just really excited about this show and to be part of this amazing celebration for Mattel's 80th. And I'm so happy. I love it.
Thanks for being here.
Hi, my name is Korin Faught. I did the piece here. It's a Pilgrim Barbie. She is a real Barbie from the 90s. I ordered her on eBay, and she was with me through the process. If you know my work, I have done many Pilgrim-esque paintings with the bonnet and my family history. We come from Mayfair people, and before that, like my father's Dutch and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but I did have her with me, and she was great, little companion there. Growing up, I didn't have very many Barbies, but I loved the ones I had. I had Skipper, and I had like classic Barbie, maybe. I don't know what kind she was. But I had the Corvette, anyway, the process was interesting. I started with Monster High and couldn't nail it. Mattel was even so kind to give me some merch to paint from, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm choking. So I kind of like went back to the drawing board with that and ordered Pilgrim Barbie off of eBay, and she came, and I was thrilled. I could paint what I know. Right. So, but also painting that Mattel pink was really difficult. I'm just not a pink person, and I just like really struggled. I should have called Brandi or Gary or, well, maybe not Luke. Luke doesn't really paint that much. Or Natalia, Fabia. Right. Would have been a great call, but I don't know. I didn't do any of that, but I was on my own. Anyway, it came out good. I'm proud of it and what it represents to me.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, so we've all talked a little bit about your paintings. We'd love know a little bit more about how you made them, kind of your process, and you all work in different mediums. So you always start at a different place. Do you guys tend to sketch your ideas out first, or you just go with spontaneity?
Well, I have, sometimes I do a little sketch of what I want, but I go directly into like a photo shoot of the subject matter, then like photoshopping and creating sort of what it will eventually look like, and then I paint from that photo reference. It's pretty accurate. It gets looser than a photograph, but that's it.
Do you allow for changes throughout that process?
Yes, have to. You're staring at something for so long, like, oh yeah, that's wrong. This is so wrong. I have to. Yeah, you manipulate, definitely.
And I would say there's a couple mics here, and it could be, we can popcorn around, and we have tons of questions for you guys. So are all the mics working? Yeah, bounce it around. Yeah, we don't have to. Maybe that's a corporate term. Yeah.
I have the mic right now. That's
take
on.
It away. Take it away, Brandi.
Yeah, I do a lot of sketching before the painting. My process is very loose, and I pull in, I look at a lot of reference, and then I just kind of let my brain take over, not so many words, but just my subconscious. And I just sketch it and sketch it out, sketch little stories, just little things that pop into my brain to give me motivation or inspiration to then go create a full story. And I have many sketchbooks filled with a lot of crap and not good stuff, but it's part of the process, and it helps me to tune into how I feel and what I'm thinking, and just build a story from there. Thank you.
I love a good challenge when it comes to creating wearable art pieces. So this time I dabbled in 3D printing, so that's how we saw the large poly. It was done via 3D printing. And a lot of the things that I create are elements throughout my career, so I actually collect them throughout the years. I've been doing this for 21 years, so I would go into my studio and look for different color-coded boxes, and those will be essentially my puzzle pieces that I put together. A lot of times I create and dream up wonderful things when I'm taking my bath. So I have my Mr. Bubbles with me in my bathtub and doing all of that. And I feel like this piece specifically is, it was so special just because it's such a dream to work with a company like Mattel and to work with Polly. And I can't wait to do more fun stuff together.
Well, my process was a little different in the sense that I was already working with Mattel for almost a couple years before this exhibition. So, but generally I carry the sketchbook that I dropped. Actually, if you hold the water for a second, thanks, Luke. Wherever I go, and so that's where a lot of the ideas initially come from, is through drawing in the sketchbook, working through the process. And in fact, if you go over to in the front where the installation is, we have a lot of drawings of the early Toby as well that I was kind of putting together. So, and then in the process of the painting maybe I work from a very loose sketch, but sometimes I don't work with any sketch, and I like the process of discovery through painting. So instead of like figuring it exactly out, and I can only screw it up, I don't know what I'm putting down, and when I'm putting it down, it feels like I'm doing it for the very first time. So the spontaneity plays a really important role, and how each element and color interact with each other. And like even with this painting, I had the challenge of I didn't love where the colors were going initially, and just kind of forced myself and pushed myself through to get it to where I ended up loving it more than anything. And then what I wanted to, thanks Luke for holding my water. And so then even after the drawing and the painting, and even when the toy is complete, I'm still drawing. So for me, the process of drawing is putting these guys and bringing them to life through drawing. And so this is one of the drawings I did of Toby as well, interacting with Maddie, with Casper, and with my cat Bosco, and with the original Toby.
So cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
I got it. For my piece, I worked from both sketches, photos, and digital. I, did my drawing of my bear as a sketch. I had to sketch it out in order to be able to make sure I got the proportions and like how the hands were going to be oriented when holding the 8-ball. For the photo, I took photos of my 8-ball so I could be able to see how the logo of the 8 would orient from, viewed from that perspective. And for the digital elements, it was the typography above it. I, tried to match the font with the font on the dice, and then just typed it out, printed it, traced it, and then painted it. The blue in the painting is supposed to emulate the blue within the liquid that the 8-ball is floating, the dice is floating in. And yeah, so that was, basically the process.
Yeah, it's really cool to hear everyone else's process because I think we all have kind of different ways to approach things, but it's all very similar. Like for me, there are times where I will sketch things out, and I have two worlds where I do this fun stuff that like fulfills me, and then I have commercial stuff which also fulfills me, but you know, it's commercial stuff. So when you're doing stuff for other people, they don't trust. You don't know what you're thinking. You have to sketch things out. You have to really show them, hey, this is what this is going to look like. And then you get tweaks and then blah, blah, blah. So when it comes to stuff that I want to do that's 100% me, I'm like, let me really explore with this. Let me just get nuts with it. And I have the idea. I already kind of know. And I think the heart of it all is really that whole process of you playing around and messing with stuff. And for this one, I just bashed stuff together. I had things that I already... little pieces that I had, and you know, it's really just an assemblage. There's sculpture, there's a bunch of stuff all thrown together, and I think that's where art comes from. It's just the exploration, because if you already know what something is, and there's no fun in just executing something that's already there. I mean, not that there's no fun in it. There is fun in that, but for me, I love to just explore and mess around. And if something looks like crap, you know, that's part of it too. That's, you either change it or you leave it and then nobody notices. And I just really love like bashing stuff together. So I made a little video of me making that, which I didn't release yet, but you'll see that it's just, there's really nothing special about it. It's just, you know, stuff that already exists, you smash it and then you put it back together.
Nothing special, says the artist.
No,
it's incredible.
well,
so go
true.
take a look at his piece after.
It's
It's pretty wild.
But yeah, there it is.
Thank you, Jim.
Let me see. On my painting here, it came up very organically because I do work with, in general, my paintings are female figurative works with big heads and big eyes, very sort of doll-like to begin with. So I didn't really need to do any sketches ahead of time. I started working on the piece of wood directly. I knew what size I wanted to make it, so I just went to Home Depot like I usually do, and I buy the wood there and cut it out, and I use acrylic paints and water. And I just sort of knew I wanted to paint 3 of the girls, and I wasn't sure which of the Monster High characters I wanted to do, but they're all similar proportions, so I did a sort of symmetrical with one girl in the middle and one on either side. And then I went in and basically sketched in acrylic paints and built up layers and layers of paints on top of that. I knew that I wanted to include the logo very subtly, which is a skull with a little pink bow on it. And I wanted to have all their friends because I like painting characters with a little pet or a little animal friend. So I went through and I learned about the characters and I asked all my nieces and wanted to make sure I did everything canonically. And, and there are like 3 different generations of Monster High characters. So I really tried to go in between the early versions of Monster High and then the more contemporary, like Generation 3 ones.
Because we do know the Monster High fans are very particular.
Oh, yes. Oh,
yes.
my goodness, yes. For sure.
Not a joke. All right, we're going to do a little lightning round, which means like quick answer from everyone, and it should be an easy one. And what one tool or medium in your studio can you not live without? And so we'll just go down the line if you want to start, Jasmine.
My fingers. I paint with my fingers a lot.
Great. Okay. Okay.
Fingers too, but I have a little, just one little sculpting tool that I use for pretty much everything, and it looks like a spoon that got stretched out. So that's pretty much the one tool that I use.
Great.
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm baffled by the question.
Probably the best tool is your misery. It's kind of because you use that as inspiration, just to create the brilliance and the or the tool is your little bear.
Well, I could say my phone, but like that just
That counts. That counts. A reference
but
tool. You know.
I'm sure I could be able to paint without my phone.
Right. I don't know. I like to believe that I can use anything that's available to me to create, but I do carry colored pencils wherever I go, so I guess I would say that.
My creativity and Sharpies.
Nice. Nice one. And mine is, it's got to be my sketchbook. I need it. I need it. I need it.
I need my microphone. I love the finger thing. Yeah, I'd second that. Yeah, or a little blendy brush, just like doot doot doot. Need it. Have to have it.
Never realized fingers were so important. It's like 50% of you.
You have a lightning round as well, right?
I do. Okay, I think I'm going to be able to guess this based upon what we talked about your process, but either super organized or beautiful chaos.
Is it beautiful? It's chaos for sure. Chaos.
Definitely chaos. Chaos.
Chaos.
Look at all these people who are saying chaos when you look at their paint.
Saw your sketchbook.
No, I didn't say I wasn't chaotic. I'm just saying everyone else is like. The reason this question is inappropriate is that what art is generally about is taking chaos and creating a sense of order to it from that. And if you look at everyone's work, they kind of like smash things up, and then how he puts it together becomes really beautiful. Or taking like the disorganization of life and all these emotions and putting some sense of continuity and order to it, and then producing something that makes a kind of statement. So you should come up with anyways.
I'm with Gary.
Inappropriate question.
Yeah, same, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of highly ordered materials and a lot of chaos that is meant to offset it.
Awesome. Hey, that was what the lightning round was for, and not unexpected as we thought. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about inspiration or what kind of moves you in your studio. Some artists need total solitude. Some thrive with background noise, the TV, rain sounds, music, maybe a TV show in the background. Is there a song, soundtrack, what's playing in the background as you're working, or are you kind of needing silence? And this is kind of a quick one for the whole group as well.
I listen to music, but I also have a lot of TV shows. I hate to admit it, usually Ancient Aliens is on in the background. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'll listen to like one song throughout the whole day, and it has to have like no lyrics. So usually I'll do like a Zelda song or something, but it'll be on loop. And for some reason, it just sort of, I'm not really thinking about it. It's just in the back of my head, but it's a weird calming sensation where like it just gets me to like work. So
That's insane. I listen to a lot of like lo-fi beats and stuff like that.
I guess it depends on the theme that I'm working on, what kind of music I'll play, because I have a certain soundtrack. Like the soundtrack of my life would be Max Richter's The Leftovers, which is very, I don't know, kind of emotional, sad kind of music. But for Toby as well, a lot of it was like 60s, 70s, kind of Laurel Canyon, pop, Hollywood, LA music mixed with British invasion.
I am music all the time, and it just goes by my mood or what I want to evoke. So I listen to a lot of like 70s classic rock, all the way through Billie Eilish today, you know, just everything. And that's meant to just pull out what I'm feeling or a story, possibly.
I used to listen to TV, like heavy dialogue TV, like Mad Men, or I've watched Game of Thrones so many times. There's just like so much content, like names and everything. Ask me any question about Game of Thrones. I'll know it. But now I'm listening to a podcast talking about, you know, serial killers and stuff. So that's my thing now.
All right, so now we're going to get into some targeted questions for specific people. And I'm going to start with you, Jasmine. So if you mind passing the mic down. Brandi, would you pass that down? Thanks. All right, your work often blends gothic, fantastical elements with whimsy, which is obviously very fitting for Monster High.
Yeah.
What approach when approaching a toy-inspired piece for this exhibition, how did you balance those darker elements with that kind of playful nature of toys?
Ooh, that is often an ongoing sort of concern with my artwork. I do a lot of sort of darker themes, but people also associate my artwork with things like Disney and cute stuff like that. And I think a big part of it is there's got to be a balance between it, because if you have too much sort of doom and gloom, it gets really repetitive and boring. If you have something that is adorable and cute, it gets saccharine and doesn't have a depth to it. So that's always the sort of line I am balancing with it, and that's why I appreciate things like Monster High and mass-marketed things with Mattel, because I think it shows that there needs to be a little darker side to appreciate the sort of fun sort of storytelling and narratives behind it.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, Gary. You ready? Hopefully you'll like this question more. We've had the experience of creating a toy together, right? And this was not your first time creating toys. You've created many toys in the past. Why do you think toys and cartoons have such an influence on your work?
It's a good question. And probably a psychiatrist or would try to understand. But I think for me, at a very young age, and when I was watching old Warner Brothers cartoons, there was a sense of that I thought there was just perfection. Old Bugs Bunny, old Porky Pig, the way it was drawn, the way it was animated, the humor was so smart, and for me it was so brilliant. It stuck and stayed with me and never let me go. So as I grew and went from junior high school to college, it kind of still kind of played a major role, even though I became inspired by a lot of other type of art, from Bosch to Mark Rothko to, just Miguel Covarrubias to all these other, from Warhol and stuff. But somehow old cartoons from again, it was like the 30s and 40s. I feel like I was born 30 years after when I should have been born, or I was born 30 years before I should have been born. So it just kind of stayed, and then also the sense of what play and toys kind of represented. So even back then, when I became an adult, and before I was a painter, I was an illustrator, and when I would get a big commission, I'd do a big advertising job or something, I would treat myself by going to flea markets and buy old vintage toys. So if I found an old wood-jointed Felix the Cat, or Mickey, or Pete the Pup, or old, they were just a beautiful piece of art. To me, that was fine art. And so I would have them in my studio, and I would have them up there as if it could have been any major contemporary artist. And so that kind of stayed with me, and I wanted to create it in my own way, but in a way that the message resonated with the times that we're living with today.
You were definitely at the vanguard of designer toys back in the day. You were definitely part of the vanguard of designer toys.
Yeah, no, I've been doing designer toys now for over 25 years. The first was in 1999, 2000 with Sony Creative when I did my first Dunces. And then my Dumb Luck figure that came out right around then. So yeah, it's been, for me, when I had my first fine art exhibition, the next thing I was doing was these sculptures that for me, they were fine art sculptures, but for the masses. They were limited edition, but they weren't created based on a marketing tool of a committee making a decision on what's going to sell well. For me, this is what I wanted to say. This is what I wanted to produce as an art piece. And ever since, what I'm producing, they're art pieces.
Yeah, and there's other people who started the designer toy up here as well. So I'm going to address this next question at Luke. Luke, you've created many toys in the past, right? So you've translated your work into sculpture. Is there, what's the biggest difference for you when you're transitioning from 2D to 3D to make a toy?
What is the difference?
Yeah, like how you approach. Do you approach it any differently?
Well, when I started painting I moved to Los Angeles in 2003 and started kind of pursuing art full-time around then. And Before that, I studied graphic design at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and before I graduated, I had two professors pull me aside and say to me, "You are a mediocre graphic designer, but you're a much better illustrator, so you should really consider going into illustration." And I moved to Los Angeles and eventually kind of make my way through that into that world, but I was keeping a close eye on the designer toy world, and I remember getting this book in 2003. It was a book of key designs by a toy company called Toy2R, and that's when I was like seeing Gary's work and Frank Kozik and Tim Biscup and a whole bunch of other iconic LA artists producing this stuff, and I allowed that work to kind of inform the direction in which my own artwork was going to go, with the intention of maybe one day seeing my paintings become retranslated as three-dimensional objects. And around 2005, I hooked up with a company called Monkey King that's also based in Los Angeles, and we produced my first toy, which was finally released in 2007. And I've been producing toys since then. And I also collect, so I got a bunch of Gary's stuff, and I've got a bunch of other friends and colleagues who have done this stuff. And yeah, I think that the art toy thing is an interesting medium to give people who enjoy your artwork an opportunity to be able to acquire something that they can't, where if they can't afford to buy a painting, they can potentially purchase, this figure, this toy, this other representation that isn't just a print that will, easily tear or stain or something like that. And I still produce these toys and still have plans on producing more in the future.
Love that. And thank you for saying that art it's accessible through toy, and that's something with Mattel Creations we especially are making your art accessible to others. So that's awesome that you said that. Let's go back to Korin over there. Your art brings a certain emotional intensity, and the Pilgrim Barbie it was inspiring me and making people feel the feels. And so, curious for you, while you were creating this piece, did you find yourself getting emotional in the process? Did any surprising memories come up? Tell us a little bit about what came up for you.
Yeah, I've been in an emotional tailspin for a few months now. It's been difficult to, I can't really describe this sort of turmoil, but using art, it's complex, and you kind of look at your painting and think, oh, what could I do? How can I express myself in like a serious way that won't be too off-putting? I don't want to really, I don't know. I want to be myself, but I also want to have a statement there. And Pilgrim Barbie was almost handmade Barbie. I almost did handmade Barbie. I almost did trad wife Barbie. I was like going back and forth. Where is this headed? Where is this going? And then just sort of let it happen, and it sort of matured on its own. And she became like pretty much herself and just descriptive of herself, and it sort of laid itself out there, the sort of immigration issues that are going on right now. So I just went, yeah, there she is.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Brandi, question for you. Your artwork is full of vibrant, candy-coated colors and tones that evoke a sense of playful nostalgia. Were you the kid who always picked the most colorful toy or accessory, like the bright pink Barbie car or dream house? Or is this explaining what you were like as a kid as well?
Yes and no. I definitely loved Fisher-Price, the old vintage Fisher-Price stuff, which is very vibrant and rainbow, and so I did always gravitate towards that stuff. But also, I'm a person who feels a lot, and I go through a lot emotionally, and so my artwork does look very candy, at first, and very colorful and happy and sweet and cute. But underneath that is the truth of how I feel mostly, which is, a lot. And I think a lot of us are feeling a lot right now in the world, and as I heard. And so my vibrant colors are to push against that sadness, that darkness. It's to invite people in, it's to attract like a flower, it's to attract people who have a youthful sensibility, and it does mask a little bit of that darkness, but it is about the light and the dark here on Earth.
Thank
so
you,
that is where I go.
Awesome, thank you for that. All right, let's go to Onch, since you're sitting right here. You create some incredible wearable art, some of which I would love to rock. I don't know if I'm cool enough, but celebrities are often seen wearing your work. Yes. Who would you like to see rocking your Polly Pocket-inspired piece in the back?
Margot Robbie.
Nice.
Right? I think so, and I think Mattel can make it happen, too.
Hey, we're live streaming. Maybe she's listening. You could tell her now.
Margot, please. We would love for you to rock my necklace. It's called Mattel, I Shrunk Barbie. And you played Barbie.
Thank you, yeah. Jim, I think you're the last artist for this specific question. You've designed some incredible figurines and sculptures that almost seem alive with character. Again, if you haven't gotten a close-up look of the phone over there, it will take you places. How do you go about creating a toy that feels both real and imaginative? And did you run into any unforeseen challenges, or is there anything specific you want us to know about that?
You're talking about this toy, or
this toy in particular?
This toy in particular. Wait, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Your toys are both imaginative, yet very, very, very lifelike. And how do you find kind of the balance around that?
Yeah. Okay. I guess pretty much every sculpture I make, it's sort of like a weird Horcrux of my own emotion. And pretty much what Brandi said, where it's like, you sugarcoat things, and then where you could sort of put your own emotions into that. I think I had a lot of trouble talking as a kid, and still do. So the only way to really convey whatever I'm feeling is to squeeze it into a little phone, and you could, sometimes it's like a very, not so specific thing, but you could always tell in the eyes whatever the feeling is. But I think for this one, I wanted to make it reminiscent of the actual toy phone, but as if, how I would want it. So when I was making it, it was really like something that I would want in my house, because I have a lot of like turquoise and gold and stuff like that. So I'm always making something that I want to have. And then, sadly, it's got to go. But yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
A new home. It's going to a new home.
It's going to a new home. Thank you, guys.
Somewhere else will appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so this is again a question to everyone. So art's an evolving journey, and participating in the shows seems like a natural extension for many of your works. But is there something that you would take away from this that might inspire any of your future works?
Oh, for every future works. Just, I guess my lesson was letting it reveal itself more, letting the work speak to me more, listening. Yeah.
I like that too. Lots of listening, but yeah, in my piece, I learned something new that I'm excited about. It's just more balance in the piece, and the little figures in my piece, they're the little people from the 70s, 60s. I was afraid that they were going to get lost in the piece, but I found a way, and they found a way, and I'm very excited about that. I'm very inspired by that.
I think for me, it's just to be more vulnerable and tell my story through the pieces that I create. I've never shared the fact that I was bullied growing up, even though I might look like the kid that's always being bullied. And I feel like it's liberating to be able to tell my story and share it through a beautiful piece of verbal art.
Well, for me, when I started working on this, I was already working on a kind of a series of art based on my old cat, my cat Bosco, who was a young cat, using the sense of dream reality and the explosion of toy and pop culture in a way as inspiration. And within this process, not only did we do the Toby as well and this painting, I also created 15 new paintings of my creatures interacting with Mattel legacy properties that we turned into an Uno deck. So that's also to celebrate the 80th anniversary of Mattel. We created this really beautiful Uno deck, working with the Mattel designers, taking my paintings and putting together something that would be, one, fun to play, and two, it looks like a work of art, and is a work of art. So you get to play Uno and have big arguments with your friends and family while engaging with an art piece. So that was something that I was excited about. And for me, this kind of series is something that I've been already working on. So it's taking that in one step and moving a little further with the new work that I'm producing.
What was the question?
Question was, Ethan asked it.
It's about, did you, go ahead.
Anything you took away from this that would inspire future work?
Besides the sale of
Any
the
kind of
painting.
lesson, learning, besides selling it.
Not really.
Damn. It's a great answer. I don't really know either. I think every time you make something, it informs the next piece. Obviously, when you start off, your stuff is not that great, but it's always a learning experience. And I think just to be involved in something like this is really a great privilege. To be in a show and just to make art in general is a real privilege, because I don't even always have the time or the finances to even make things. So these little opportunities that I get where I can make something that is mine, I have to remind myself that it's a very special moment, and we're only going to get a handful of these moments, and a handful of those are only going to be good enough for people to look at. So it's any chance I get to make something is special. So did I learn anything from this experience? How to smash a phone together, and actually,
okay, we'll take it.
How to build a little bit of wood. So this is my first wood piece. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that's something new.
I feel like I should say something a little extra, and that is that shows like this are unique moments, and can I say that this show will inform my future work? I'm not really sure, but I had a great time, being a part of it, and to see all these people coming out to the show and seeing the opening and having a chance to go to the Mattel and experience the tour and everything like that. I'm grateful for that opportunity. But like I said, I'm not sure how this could potentially inform, what I'm doing in the future.
It doesn't have to be from us either. I mean, there was 80 other artists in the show, and you might have learned something from them.
Well, thank you for that, because that was partly the goal, to be playful and experience everyone coming together for this.
For me, I am always interested in the sort of intersection where massive international brands that have been around for a century can sort of overlap with the idea of fine art. I think there's a sort of idea in the public that something is either fine art or it's like a commercial, something you would buy at a store, when really I'm seeing with my fellow artists and myself, it is an a sort of ongoing dialogue that is happening both back and forth between the people who created the brand to begin with and then the people that brand has now influenced. And then we have then gone back and influenced that brand, and the whole public in general can sort of see that these things are not separate and that we can all be sort of influenced by even the toys that we see at Walmart every day.
Awesome, thank you. This one's going to be, we have a couple lightning round questions. Gary, you like those? If you could take any piece of art home with you, not yours, and you don't need to know who did it if you don't know the name or whatever, but which piece of art would you take home with you?
For me, I really like the piece that Brandi did, actually, with all the Fisher-Price toys, because those were all toys I had growing up, and that was the first one that I had an emotional reaction to.
I really like, there's like a cat sitting on a business desk over there. I like that one. And all the way in the back left, sorry, there's like a Thomas, train. I think he's really cool. I would take those, and Luke's.
I'm a huge Gary Baseman fan, so I would probably love to have the Gary Baseman hanging on my walls.
Thanks. Actually, the car right here in the center is...
Yeah, the car in the middle. It is for sale, everyone.
That too.
It's so beautiful, and that's the car of the future. It's like so nice. But also, my friend Natalia's painting is of her daughter was like really, really outstanding.
Gary Baseman, because he's my idol, and I love him, and I love his work, and I've seen his work progress and like evolve into what it is today, and I'm just so impressed, and I want it. It's $80,000. Can I have it? Is it sold?
It's sold.
It's gone, sorry.
Right behind you. I definitely want Korin's piece. It did sell, but I'll take that, and I'll take Miss Mindy's little battle cat over there, the green one, and I will definitely take Polly Pocket from Onch. Thank you.
You get to choose one.
Well, I took three.
I got one. I love the car, but it's actually a friend of mine made that car, Dave. But his work is amazing. It's probably the most expensive piece here, right, by far. But above that, like the battle cats. There's so many battle cats. I want all of them, especially that Ken Williams battle cat over there is pretty epic.
Yeah, Battle Cat got a lot of love in this show, that's for sure.
I have one more answer. I would actually take any one of the artists' work here, take it home. They're all like really, really nice.
All right, so the next question we're gonna ask a little bit about Mattel, because you've all graciously participated in a show about Mattel and toys. We've been around for 80 years, and some of our brands like Barbie has been around for 65, Hot Wheels is around for 56. What do you think makes Mattel toys stand the test of time? Or what was it that sparked you to create?
It's just been a part of our lives. It's just like inherently with us. It just never had not been, just ingrained in how we grow up. And just, my son wanted to come and pitch to you guys about his ideas. And I think you were really open to things. And I had a friend just started work with you. His name's Farron. He's just started working. And I think he's such a visionary artist, and that you're open to that. And like, just this whole show is incredible. So thank you.
Yes, I agree that it was always with us. And for me, the toys that I had, I agree with Gary saying that they were my fine art growing up, and Barbie, Fisher-Price for me, and it just has echoed through my mind and has never left. And I don't know what that magic is from Mattel, but I know that 80 years is pretty freaking fabulous, and I think it's echoing through all of our brains and imaginations.
I think Mattel is so magical because it provides us all with this escapism and just unboxing your toys and starting to play with it and reading the instructions. It's a whole experience, and I don't think anybody else does it quite like Mattel.
From being a little tiny boy, is, my first doll was a Mattel toy. So you've been able to still embrace most of your properties from the very beginning, from Barbie, like again, in my neighborhood, I grew up in the LA, Fairfax district. I was the one boy that wasn't afraid to play with Barbie dolls with my neighbor friends, the Demergent family. Elise and Sonia would grab me and go, "We're playing Barbie." So I'd play all the guy characters. And then Hot Wheels, when the Loop-de-Loop came out, it was like, oh my God, we're defying gravity. And then the idea of creepy crawlers, that you can be a mad scientist and make things. For me, the opportunity to be or do anything. In fact, even some of the properties that Mattel doesn't embrace now, that isn't necessarily politically correct, because when we started working on this project, I made Ethan send me all the catalogs from the 50s and the 60s and early 70s, and I just dove through them all. But if you look at the old catalogs, a lot of them where Mattel was probably the largest arms dealer of toys, because they had a lot of rifles and guns. But then again, for me, I was playing cowboy and Indians, I would also play soldier, and for me, being a child of Holocaust survivors, I would take a rifle and pretend I was in World War II, going back to Eastern Europe and fighting Nazis to save my grandparents. So for me, there's so many ways of using your imagination that Mattel kind of gave a child the opportunity. So, and with Toby as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know what the question is.
How has Mattel, why do you think Mattel has stood the test of time and been able to do a show like this? Like, what keeps it iconic and what keeps it top of mind for people? You have your Magic 8 Ball in there. It's obviously, that's been around since the 40s, 1946, I think.
Yeah, but I don't think Magic 8 Ball is keeping, Mattel's doors open.
Hey, it might be.
So you want to talk about Barbie then, huh?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a kind of a complicated question. I imagine that the reason why Mattel has stood the test of time is because they have an incredible team of thinkers and creators and designers that are trying to do their best to keep up with the time and the trends, and they probably have work with a bunch of kids, throw a bunch of toys at them, and have them decide, see what is working and what isn't.
You're making us look good, because we're hosting things like this, and I think that's definitely one of the reasons, because there's so many artists within Mattel. You've taken the tour. Mm-hmm. You've seen that Ethan is one of those people as well. Like, we have inventors, tinkers, artists, sketchers, painters of Barbie as you walk through.
Wizards.
The
building is full of wizards.
Yeah. So I think you set us up there.
Why is Mattel successful? Because they've got a great committee of, people making decisions, I guess. And
Amen. We're going to quote you and use you.
I'm sure that there's plenty of people who work for Mattel that would say I was wrong, but if it's working, then it's working.
I love it. Thank you.
I feel like this is definitely a question for Mattel, but not really. Because I don't know. I will be honest with you. I didn't really have much toys in general, but Mattel toys, because I don't know. I was a poor kid. I had a few art supplies, and that was about it. But as I grew older, I collected toys because I didn't really have them, and then I got crazy and and I have a whole room full of toys. I think because of that whole extreme. And what I've noticed is that there's only a few big toy companies, and I would say Mattel is successful because they were one of the first. They're one of the biggest still. Coming out with Barbie, and maybe Hot Wheels movies, who knows? But I think you guys are smart because you're doing things like this. You know, we're out here right now today. We're all making things with you guys, and you don't really see like a Hasbro art show here. You know, like I think doing stuff that's unique is helpful. So
I'll give you $5 later.
Yeah, you guys know what you're doing. So
Hasbro's next month.
Well, I think a big part of how Mattel is still relevant today is that as appealing and generic as some of the ideas are, they are also very specific in a way that you can look at a universe or look at a series of characters they've created, but then sort of overlay your own play on top of it. It's like, oh, this isn't Barbie and Skipper. This is me and my sister. This is not the creepy little Monster High girls. These are us and our friends, and we're going to see ourselves in these characters. Also, I think Mattel is not afraid to evolve, and I think that has kept them relevant for decades and decades to come. You've seen how Barbie is not the same as she was in the 50s, and there's something to be seen for that. The fact that they've got generation 1, 2, 3 of something like Monster High and will continue to do so, I think that is going to keep Mattel in the picture for as long as there are toys, really. In the fact that they're going on a limb with artists like this, and a sort of edgy gallery is going to always keep them relevant, and I appreciate the opportunity.
And we're very grateful that you guys all participated in this. This was incredible to see the art being interpreted. We're going to go to questions in just a minute. Before we do that, Ethan, I have your cue card, so apologies. But before we wrap things up, we have a little fun twist that we like to do at the end of our interviews. So we've been asking the big questions today about your work, your process, the world of creativity. It's gotten a little emotional, a little topical. Let's take a moment to get playful. We have our Keiichi Tanami Magic 8 Ball over there, done by the famous pop artist Keiichi Tanami that we got to work with this year before he passed last year. And we want to ask the Magic 8 Ball here a question. So we'd love for each of you to ask the Magic 8 Ball a question, see what it has in store for you. And because it's the Tanami 8 Ball, there's a couple poetic responses in there, but generally, let's see what the future holds for you. So let's start with Korin.
What question? What question?
Has to be a yes or no answer.
Yeah, it has to be a yes or no answer.
Oh.
And you guys can pass it around if you need a second.
I think I need to think about this. This is a
Yeah, you can pass. That's fine. I know it's loaded. It's easy but hard.
This isn't going to be playful. My question is, will kindness rule supreme within humans on Earth? Come on.
Not so good.
That's deep. So far, nothing. Hold it. Ask again later.
Okay, we'll ask later. Way later. I'm a little nervous now.
I don't know what to ask yet.
Ask a question.
I know it's really hard to ask a yes or no, right?
Ask.
Will Margot Robbie wear your Polly Pocket?
No, you know what? I want to ask if I will get to do this again with Mattel, because this was such a wonderful experience. That's all right. That's all right. With exclamation marks, so it's good. It's all right.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm having
You have 2 mics. Wow. Okay.
the leaders of the free world, please. Okay. I'm just going to ask a question. I have my old cat, Blackie the cat, wrote a book called The Mighty Paw. And it's a lovely story about his family and heritage. And tonight we're having a party celebrating it. And I'm going to ask, is it going to be a successful party tonight? So, yeah, let's turn it around. Perfect, peach, pink, yes.
Okay. That sounds like a yes. Luke, I feel like you have to get Outlook not so good just because.
Is the outlook really not so good? Well, hold on, I can barely read this. No more, wait. Can you read that?
Outlook, not so good. No. No, he said, no more war, I say yes.
Okay, that's great.
I don't know what to ask. Will Mattel make a Luke Chueh 8-ball after seeing his painting? Let's see. I saw yes in a daydream. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So you'll notice when we work with artists on 8-balls, we let them change what it says on the inside too.
Yes, so that was a custom die in the middle.
So Luke, would your 8-ball have every answer outlook not so good?
Yeah.
It'd be 10 of the 20.
Okay. Will human beings ever successfully clone dinosaurs in my lifetime? These are the important questions. I can't read that little because I don't have my reading glasses.
No more war, I say yes.
All right.
All
I think that will
right.
solve all our problems.
All righty. Okay. I think that was amazing. Thank you all for sharing your processes, a little peek into how you created this, and just how fun is this, and we want to keep it playful. So thank you to everyone that showed up. There's a good amount of people here. So before we wrap, we do want to give you an opportunity to ask any of these artists questions. I know it is putting people on the spot, but if there is any, please raise your hand. We'll get you a mic. All right, we got one already.
Oh, I don't need it. I do? Yes. Okay. So I'd love to ask all of you a question, but here's a question, I mean individually, but here's a question for all of you. Is there a medium that you've looked at from afar or up at close, something that you've been scared to do or something that you've been excited to do but haven't gotten to it yet? Something different than you've done before.
Ceramics.
See, I don't even have an answer for this one. Because again, I kind of jump into any medium and try to work with people who are much more talented than me to help produce these things. So, you have some big dreams of what you want to create. So for me, a medium that I want to create is a type of amusement park that kind of excites me and scares me, but that has to come with a lot of partners.
I'm very much interested in doing like installation art or augmented reality stuff, but I'm not really quite sure like where to start with that and how and what I would want to say with those kind of projects. So, yeah.
I think coming in here, the first thing I saw, which is probably the first thing everybody saw, was this giant He-Man over here. And there's something to say about that, because when you have something so big, it's just very like, oh my God, I got to take a picture of this. If He-Man was the size of the regular toy, you wouldn't want to take a picture with the He-Man. So it's, not something I would want to like scale up my things, but I think it is something I thought about, where just how size plays such a big factor in people's interest. And that I assume is 3D printed, so maybe getting more into 3D printing. You have a mic, sorry.
I'm a traditional painter and I just work on wood and acrylics, but I would love to see my artwork animated. I'd like to see it moving in three-dimensionally or two-dimensionally. I think I would like to see how my pictures look like in that way.
Any other questions?
I have a question. So it's been so wonderful to get to see all of your work and learn more about you as artists. And, as a new fan or existing fan of so many of your works, I would just love to hear what you each have going on next.
As Mattel Creation says, let's create what's next. So let's hear what's next for you guys.
I'll start because I've got a microphone. Me and my partner David have just come out with our first comic book, and that is very new for me. I'm used to just painting, and we've got our comic book Death and the Maiden. Issue 1 just came out, and issue 2 is in the works. Very excited about that.
Congrats, that's cool.
Congrats. I am, what the hell am I doing? I'm art directing a Lego stop motion that's coming out in, I think, 2 weeks. And lots of sculptures and toys and what else? A Tim Burton documentary is coming out next week that I worked on. Lots of animation in that. And lots of animation stuff, more animation stuff. And I have a character called the Scarecrow. I'm trying to do a film about that. So we're starting the process of stop motion Scarecrow stuff. So, yeah.
I'm currently working on a July solo show for New York at Harmon Projects, and I am also in preparations for a 2026 show in this space.
Shout out to the Corey Helford Gallery.
That's going to be, it's going to be nuts.
Always working on a lot of things. Continuing celebrating Uno, the deck that we did, so we could sell out of that limited edition amount. Working on an animated short in New Zealand that in 2 days I'll be flying out for meetings, and then also with Toby, which is turning 20 this year, from my original exhibition for the Love of Toby. That was from LA. From a gallery show here. We're working on a new edition of Toby to celebrate his 20th and 21st birthday. So, and then hopefully with a lot of events and exhibitions and books and things, and a lot of stuff going on, so. Oh, you got it.
I'm working on 2 different collections for wearable art jewelry. There is a collection for Teletubbies, one for Strawberry Shortcake, and we're doing press-on nails for Urban Outfitters, which I think you guys should go get it. It's really great. And we're also working on a documentary along with a experiential art, exhibition that's happening in 2026.
And I am working on a show for next year in this space. And I'm dead center in the middle. I'm almost done. And I'll get there in April, I believe.
We want to be where Jess can see.
On my easel right now is another group show painting for here, the beautiful bazaar. Are you in that? Are you guys in that? Well, it's on my easel right now, but you know, they want you to do small pieces for these group shows. But I'm currently trying to have large-scale paintings build my body of work back up after having a couple kids. We're just like, I need to, paint big again. But that's what I'm working on.
All right. And so before we close, and because Ethan never lets me say anything about him, and I have the mic and all that, he can't do anything now. I do want to specifically call out Ethan Wood from Mattel Creations and Sherry from the gallery, who for putting this together. It has been a long time coming. Yes, Sherry, thank you. Director of the Corey Helford Gallery. But I know that the two of them have really, it started with a conversation, and I think Sherry's tenacity and the somehow duo between Ethan and Sherry to pull this gallery off is truly something unbelievable. To get the caliber of artists that we have sitting up here, truly unbelievable. I just got chills. But I want to call Ethan, thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to all these artists up here. It has been an incredible panel. It's been an incredible show. So on behalf of Mattel Creations, really want to thank everyone for coming out, for Mattel's 80th and giving us the opportunity to do something so incredibly awesome and take risks and do stuff with artists. I just want to thank everyone for that. And so if you have not taken a look around, take a look around. If you are watching from the live stream, the show is open until April 19th. So please tell all your friends to come and check out the Mattel Creations room behind this wall as well, where you can get a peek inside the world of Mattel Creations specifically. And thank you all for coming. This was amazing. So thank you. Woo! All right.